Police in New York shot and killed a teenager who they thought was carrying a gun, but it turned out that he was just holding a hairbrush. Officers responded to a 911 call from the 18-year-old's mom last night. Police say that he approached the officers. When he didn't stop, they opened fire on him. A man says that he saw the teen drop the brush before police fired. Here are some more details from officials.
2 minutes after the call at 7:07 p.m., the first police unit with 2 police officers from the 79th Precinct arrived at 590 Gates Avenue. When they came to apartment 1D on the first floor, the door was already ajar. They could see Kyle Coppin with 2 knives, one in each hand, in the hallway between the front door and a bedroom. Ms. Owens and her 11-year-old daughter were also inside the hallway. The officers directed Ms. Owens and her daughter to come out of the apartment. Ms. Owens told the officers at the scene that Kyle was armed with knives but not a gun. However, Kyle claimed to the first officers who responded that he was armed with a gun. As the officers approached Kyle, he first brandished both knives, lunged toward the officers, and yelled, quote, "Shoot me, kill me." Kyle moved down the hallway toward the back bedroom, while the officers retreated to the outside hallway, where they were joined by 2 detectives from the 79th Precinct. The 4 officers remained outside the apartment with the door open and with a clear view into the apartment. Kyle would periodically show himself from behind the bedroom door, initially brandishing a knife, and on other occasions holding something under his sweatshirt while claiming to be armed with a gun. At one point, he yelled at the officers, quote, "Come get me. I have a gun. Let's do this." Captain Charles McAvoy, the 79th Precinct Executive Officer, joined the officers in the hallway at 7:17 p.m. and called for the NYPD's hostage negotiating team to respond. Officers had previously called for our emergency service unit, which had just arrived on the scene at that time. As the officers in the hallway stayed in position, they could hear Kyle moving a gate that covered the bedroom window. They then heard other officers outside yelling, "He's going out the window." This was at 7:18 p.m. Kyle dropped about 4 feet from the bedroom window to the sidewalk in front of 590 Gates Avenue. From there, he walked through an exterior gate directly towards police officers in front of the building. According to civilian witnesses, they also thought that Kyle had a gun. Kyle was holding something under his sweatshirt as he continued to approach officers, ignoring their directives to stop and show his hands. Captain McAvoy had run from the apartment to the front of the building just as Kyle came out the window. He observed several officers in front of the building and ordered them to immediately back up and take cover. They did so, positioning themselves behind 2 parked cars. Without hesitating, Kyle continued in the officer's direction, ignoring multiple directives to stop, show his hands, and get down on the ground. As he closed the distance between him and the officers, he reached under his sweatshirt, pulled an object, and pointed it in the officer's direction, as if he were aiming a gun. In fact, he had a hairbrush in his hand. 5 officers responded by firing a total of 20 rounds, striking Kyle 8 times. The emergency services officers, all of them trained EMTs, rushed to render aid to Kyle. The hairbrush was found at the scene under his body. The shooting occurred at approximately 7:19 p.m. At the same time, police at the scene radioed for EMS to respond immediately with an ambulance. Minutes later, EMS arrived and transported Kyle to Woodhull Hospital, where he was pronounced dead.